Welcome to Inclusion and Marketing, the show that's all about giving you the skills and insights you need to win the attention, adoration, and loyalty of more consumers, especially those with differences that are often ignored by brands. I'm your host, Sonia Thompson, a marketer and a person with a lot of differences. Let's get to it. Did you know that most businesses only use 20% of their data? That's like reading a book with most of the pages torn out or paying for a coffee that's just 1/5 full. Point is, you miss a lot unless you use HubSpot. Their customer platform gives you access to the data you need to grow your business. The insights trapped in emails, call logs, and transcripts, all that unstructured data that makes all the difference. Because when you know more, you grow more. And when you get a full cup of coffee, you can do more too. But I digress. Visit HubSpot.com today. To say there's been a lot going on in the world is a bit of an understatement. There have been a lot of social issues that have been happening, particularly in the US, but also around the world. In the US, I say that because that's where I sit. That's the things that seem to be most prevalent for me and my purview. But there are issues happening all over the world, make no mistake. So if we think about everything that's been happening a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago, in the wake of the murder of George Floyd, many brands found themselves making statements declaring their stance on racism. Last year in the US, in the beginning of 2021, there were the US riots on Capitol Hill. Recently in the US, there is the potential for the Supreme Court to be revoking Roe versus Wade. In 2021, there was a big uptake in hate crimes and violence against people who are part of the Asian community, sparking many brands to come out with a stance against Stop Asian Hate. And then just over the weekend, unfortunately, there was another event at the time of this recording where a gunman went to Buffalo and massacred 10 people. Specifically, he was trying to target Black people. So violence against particularly communities of color, racialized groups, underserved, marginalized communities is on the uptick. I don't think it ever went away, but it's on the rise. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. And historically, many brands have intentionally shied away from social justice issues like these, politics, and any level of activism. But increasingly, staying silent is proving to be a liability, particularly when big events happen in society that capture the world's attention. Your customers want to know that the companies they spend their money with share their values. Data from Sprout Social showed that 70% of consumers say that it's important for brands to take a stand on social and political issues. That percentage is up from 66% in 2017. As a result, because this is increasingly becoming more and more important to consumers, they are engaging in what I like to call credit card activism by buying from the brands who take a stand on the issues that are important to them and withdrawing their attention and funds from those that are not aligned. Just as I think about the events that happened in Buffalo over the weekend, I've noticed I have seen almost no brands making any commentary. And I personally have felt some type of way about it. And it just kind of feels like, well, maybe for them, Black lives don't matter. For them, they have issue fatigue. For them, they just want to focus on their brand. But for me, it just feels like, wow, there's a lot going on in my community in particular. And I want to know that the brands that I engage from support me and my community and that they care about us beyond just spending our money with them. This isn't just true for me. This is especially true for diverse and underrepresented and underserved consumers who have traditionally been ignored by many brands while also being more negatively impacted by policies, systems, and environmental threats many activists fight to improve. So as you work to attract and retain more consumers from underrepresented and underserved communities, Don't stand on the sidelines with regard to the issues that impact them and reluctantly make public statements when you feel like you have to in response to a crisis. Be proactive with your support for these communities by making advocacy for relevant issues into your marketing.
Okay, I've got another podcast recommendation for you. It's Augmenters, hosted by Julie Meyer and Jimmy Edgerton, and it's brought to you by the HubSpot Podcast Network, the audio destination for business professionals. So on this show, Julie and Jimmy dive into mentoring and explore ways to augment and refresh the mentoring environment. They're using 8 core principles that weave relevant spirit guides and diverse guests, and Julie and Jimmy use a lot of humor and practical tips to help mentors and mentees get further, faster together. There's so many great episodes to tune into for this show, but one that you might find especially interesting is their latest episode, number 120, Mentoring Across Gender, Men as Allies and Mentors. Listen to Augmenters wherever you get your podcasts.
Latia Curry is a principal at Rally, an issues-driven communication firm. She told me that brand advocacy is all about a brand using its platform and assets and resources to move an issue forward, express their beliefs or stance on an issue that specifically drives to an outcome around that issue. So your sustained advocacy over time will not only demonstrate your values in action, but it will also help you form a deeper, more emotional bond with your customers who share those values. It will also help you win consumers who might not purchase with you otherwise, but will start to do so because you are advocating for an issue that is meaningful to them. Curry also noted that this type of bond can't be bought with funny, cute, or clever ads or reels or posts on social media. And this type of bond is also sustainable over time. She told me, a brand can hit the right emotional note for you and it be lost as you move on to other things. There's lots of choices in the world. There's plenty of distractions. When it comes to advocacy around issues, those are deeply held beliefs and values that people have that are not lost. They never get lost. And if anything, brands can tap into that and feel that and connect around that in a way that leaves a much longer lasting positive feeling and affinity for that brand because of the connection to those deeper roots. So I think it's more effective than some traditional marketing tools. So how do you get started with brand advocacy? Well, it can take on many forms. Sometimes it's in educating on important issues. Barbie, over the last couple of years, came out to use their platform to talk about systemic racism. So on their YouTube channel, they had one of their videos with Barbie and Nikki discussing racism in a way that made sense for Barbie and Nikki. And other times it can be in partnering with nonprofit organizations to fund, volunteer, and or bring awareness to their important work. Taylor Loren is a marketing influencer, and when she used to be the head of marketing at Girlboss, she did this when she hosted a content planning workshop. She donated 10% of the proceeds to the Sad Girls Club, a nonprofit providing accessible mental health resources to women of color. Brand advocacy can sometimes look like implementing programs to make progress on important issues and helping others to do the same. Unbounce is a landing page software company, and they did it by launching the Pay Up for Progress campaign to help other companies close the gender pay gap. Start your advocacy efforts by making sure the issue is connected to your values and that your values are living, breathing parts of your company culture. Advocacy means commitment, and commitment to an issue is easier to maintain when it is aligned with your values and culture. The communities that you're serving, particularly those who are from underrepresented and underserved communities, are starting to look for receipts when making the decision to trust you enough to build a relationship with you. As Curry further explained, there's a spectrum of thinking an issue needs to be fixed and addressed, and actually doing something concrete that will lead to that. One of the ways you can build that trust is by proving you share the same values through your activism on your issues that concern the consumers that you want to win the attention, the adoration, and the loyalty of over the long term. That's it for today's show. And that also brings us to the end of season 1 of the Inclusion in Marketing podcast. I hope you've enjoyed it just as much as I've enjoyed preparing it for you. Me and the team are going to go off and take a little break and then get back to work soon, working on new content, new episodes, new insights for you that you can get going, applying, building an inclusive brand. In the meantime, if you need more help getting started building an inclusive brand, go ahead and grab my Inclusive Marketing Starter Kit. You can find it at inclusivemarketing.co/starter kit. Also, if you want to stay in the loop on a weekly basis, getting on the email list so you can get messages from me on a weekly basis is the best way to do that. You can get on that list simply by going to inclusivemarketing.co/starter kit. And if you like this episode, I would so appreciate it if you would share it with a friend and even rate it and review it in your podcast app of choice. It'll help get the word out so others can get going, delivering inclusive experiences that make more people feel like they belong. Until next time, remember, everyone deserves to have a place where they belong. Let's use our individual and collective power to make sure more people feel like they do. Somebody's waiting on you. Thanks for listening.